to the Power of One. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Ebony Payne, born and raised in the city of Philadelphia, but she was faced with some obstacles. It is important to know that even though you are faced with some obstacles, even family obstacles, that you can overcome them. There are great people doing great things who were born and raised in the city of Philadelphia. Welcome to the show, Ebony. Ebony Payne, tell me about your childhood growing up in the city of Philadelphia. Were you very close to your parents and grandparents?
Yes. So I'm Ebony Payne Brown. And yes, I was very close to my family. I had a untraditional, I think, upbringing. Both my mother and my father battled drug addiction throughout their lives, and but my family stepped in. So my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, cousins, all became a part of my nuclear family. So I will say yes, that I had a very tight family, but it had some challenges.
Okay. Now, with your parents being addicted to drugs,
Mm-hmm.
at what age did you notice that, and did that affect you mentally?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't ever remember as a child my mother not being addicted to drugs. So from my earliest memory with my mother, I realized she was addicted to drugs. And she got clean maybe in my early 20s, late teens, when I was off in college. She was able to get clean, went to rehab. So for that entire time period, my father, it was off and on. I actually didn't know for a while that he was battling with drugs. I distinctly remember the moment I realized that I was on the bus on my way to work. I was about 14, and I saw him coming out of a drug house, and almost didn't recognize him because he was so unrecognizable. But that was the moment that things started to click with his behavior or his absence in my life, with now me realizing that he was battling drug addiction as well.
Okay, so here you are, a teen, and your parents are on drugs. You've always went to school, did what you had to do, I assume. How does that play on a child mentally, knowing that their parents are not as active as you would want them to be in their lives? Like, I'm a daddy's girl,
Mm-hmm.
and there's nothing better in the world than being a daddy's girl. Did that affect you mentally, your schooling, and how you interacted with your friends?
Oh, absolutely. I think school became my safe haven. So I was always good at school. I always enjoyed school. I joined any after school club I could. I got to school early so I could say the announcements. Like, that was my normal. And so I think that played a big role. Of course, I didn't know it then, but not having those bonds with my mother and father for sure played a huge role, and a huge void. There was a huge void. I think as a child, I went to other family members, so Pop. I don't know if they know our relationship, but I think my grandfather, your father, definitely filled a lot of that void. So I didn't know that I had it, that I had such a void until I became an adult. My uncles stepped in. So there were times in which I had people to step in. And as an adult, I realized, okay, I actually need therapy. Because while I didn't know it then, there's something that is, I'm making choices that I don't think are in my best interest. Or I'm having to recover, or these feelings are so hard. And I realized that I needed, if I was going to be healthy and whole, I needed to get help to restore parts of my identity that were broken early as a child, to make me the woman that I wanted to be.
Okay. And tell me, you graduated high school. What high school did you go to?
Yeah, so I went to a preparatory charter school for mathematics and science. It was a very new charter school. So I remember being in middle school. I remember my teacher giving out applications to this very new charter school. We were the first graduating class. It was only 100 of us. And I think that was one of the pivotal moments that changed the trajectory of my life. Had I not gone to that charter school, I would have went to the neighborhood school. It was very underperforming, not a lot of opportunities. And maybe I would have still been in the same predicament, but I do think the charter school, it afforded me different opportunities. I was in community college, taking courses while in high school. So I got a vision of, okay, I can do this college thing. I didn't know that was something that I hadn't seen my parents go to school, but having that taste in high school, it definitely opened me up to additional opportunities and thoughts about what my life could be.
Okay. And what part of the city did you grow up in Philadelphia?
So I grew up in the Melany area, right off of Rising Sun in Wyoming. So Melany, some parts of consider it North Philly, but that was where we lived for all my from K through 12. Essentially, we lived in that area. And then my grandparents lived in the West Oak Lane area, so I spent a lot of time between both of those areas.
Okay. And you graduated high school, went on to college. What college did you go to?
So I went to the University of Delaware. And a part of my decision was I felt like I had to get out of Philly for college. I had to get away from the chaos. But I still love Philly, so I wanted to be close enough where I could get on that R train and come home when I wanted to, but I could stay away and focus on my studies. So I did go to the University of Delaware. And a part of that, just growing up, I didn't have my family, we were not filling out applications together. I went to my guidance counselor and said, I want to go to college. I remember my grandparents' goddaughter graduating from Delaware. And so I went and said, I want to go to Delaware for school. And that was just a part of my plan to make something of myself.
Okay. So you graduate college, and what's your decision in graduating college? Because you want to get away from Philly, which I understand. So you're in Delaware. So did you make the decision to come back to Philly, or did you relocate somewhere else?
So a little bit of backstory. While in college, kids, you have to come home over the summer. So my first summer home, I actually didn't have a room anymore. I felt like, okay, what am I doing? Am I coming home to sleep on the couch? I'm in college. I'm doing good. So from my first summer home, I actually never came home throughout the summers after that summer because I felt so out of place. I did not have a room of my own. And so I found jobs on campus where I could stay throughout the summer. And then in my senior year, of course, you're filling out job applications. And I joined, I applied for Teach for America, which is a teaching an organization that places recent college graduates or professionals into the classroom. I did put Philadelphia on my list. I put Philadelphia, I put Camden, New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey, and Atlanta in that order. And they sent me to Atlanta to teach. And so I went to Atlanta. I started teaching 8th grade, and I fell in love with the city.
Okay. Now you're in Atlanta. You're doing Teach for America. When you're doing Teach for America, did you have to travel back to Philly?
No. So so you relocate. You serve at least 2 years. And at the end of year 2 years, you can then, go wherever. I decided to continue to teach at my school, at my placement school. So I did not have to go back. I could have. I was not in a contract with Teach for America after my 2 years were up.
Okay. So now you're in Atlanta. You're loving it. Tell me, because it seems like you're very ambitious, you're goal oriented, and once you make up your mind to do something, you're going to do it. I bet you got that from your aunt, but we'll save that for the end of the show. So you're here in Atlanta. Do you see a need? Because you're in the education field. And in that need, what do you do?
Oh, yeah, of course I saw a need. At that point, I continued to teach. And then it was, how can I make continued and incremental change? And so I became what's known as an instructional coach. So I started to coach teachers in all contents. And then I started to manage instructional coaches, and that's where I joined Teach for America staff, where I could have that bigger impact. And at that point, there was a particular time in my life where I realized my thought process around leaving Philly was not actually, it wasn't the right kind of thought that I should be having. It wasn't productive to the community, right? I thought growing up, I needed to get out of the hood, right? I needed to get out. But the reality is I should have been thinking, how can I help build my community? And that wasn't my thought. My thought at that young age was to run and flee, to find this better place. But in that transition of me coming out of the classroom, becoming an instructional coach, I actually was going to move back to Philly because I had that huge pull, because I realized there was a need here in Atlanta, but also I realized that there was a need in Philly. And I now had this, I think, more appropriate mindset around what people can do when they stay in their communities. And so I started to work with Teach for America in Philadelphia. So I worked on our teacher training program, but I worked with Philadelphia summer schools. So that was how I in the transition where do I want to go back to Philly? So I got to do both. I got to stay in the home that I had built a family here, so I was loving it, but I also was feeling this pull to come back to Philadelphia to do the work. And then ultimately I got the desire to open my own charter school. And that would best take place in the place that I was living. That's not to say that who knows what will happen for Philly in a few years.
Okay. All right. So did you execute this plan? Is there a goal? Is it starting? Tell me about your plan.
Yes. So yes, the plan is in full execution mode. So I founded the school. I went through the process of working with an organization here called Georgia Charter School Association. They have an incubator program where they take professionals through the process of opening a school. So I applied, got accepted into that incubator, and we went through the process of writing a charter, of founding a school board, of interviewing with the state, and ultimately we received our charter this past July. All of this, of course, through the pandemic. So there were many bumps in the road that I did not know would be there, but we came through. And so right now we are in the process of acquiring our building. And we are staffing our roles, and we are slated to open this fall 2022, with 165 K through third graders.
That's excellent. That is excellent. So I take it with this new building, which I'm sure is going to be new and beautiful. Are you ready for the pandemic? And will the students be safe where we don't have to do virtual learning, because I know parents are like, I need my kids in school because I have to go to work. So, and it's a shame now when you're starting to do things, this is what we have to consider because we're living in these times. So will your school be like state of the art where, listen, we will not close because there's a pandemic. We have everything in control.
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal, right? I too am one of those parents. I have a 6-year-old. He's in first grade right now, and I love him dearly. And virtual homeschooling gave me a run for my money. So I am definitely one of the parents who loves and appreciates all the educators who are doing going above and beyond during this time to make sure that our kids are safe and learning. And yes, the goal is for our building to be the state-of-the-art building. I think one of the things that's not frequently talked about in the charter school and education movement is while charter schools are becoming more popular and they are getting approved, we don't have buildings, right? And so I can't just go into an old district building because I'm not a district approved charter school. I'm a state approved charter school. So with that comes this challenges of where am I going to be located? So right now we are renovating a building. The renovation is very pricey. We are not funded yet because we get funded when our students come. But yes, we're making those decisions. Our architect said, do you want sinks in every classroom? And while I'm also thinking, okay, what's the price tag attached to that? I'm thinking, yes, who knows how long we'll be in a pandemic? What are the safest protocols we can put in place now to ensure that our students will be able to attend in person, no matter what our world situation is right now.
Okay, so this beautiful 6-year-old who has challenged you, the educator, while you were teaching your old baby at home, will he attend your school? Tell me what age group, what grades your school will allow people to attend.
Yes. So eventually we'll be K through 8. Our first year will be K through 3. We're implementing a slow growth model to make sure that we have all of our procedures in place and we can grow effectively in our model. And yes, the goal is for Kingston to attend Peace Academy. I think that there are pros and cons, right? I think a part of the reason I developed the school in the first place was because so many people within our community, Black and brown children, we have to determine, do I want my child to have a rigorous education, or do I want to put them in an environment in which their identities will be affirmed? And we shouldn't have to make that choice. We shouldn't have to decide high rigor or a teacher who's going to love their identity. And so a part of the decision to create peace is so my child can attend the school. And there's pros and cons, right? I will be the school leader. My child will be in one of my staff members' classrooms. And so, we have to navigate all of that. I definitely want my child to be held to the same standards as all of that, but I understand the cultural implications that can have. So the short answer is yes, we are going to place Kingston. I firmly believe in the model, and I need all of my parents to know I believe in it so much that my child is here right along with your child. And I know as a teacher how I might feel if my principal's son was in my class. So, we're working through all the details.
Okay. Just know Kingston will be in your office every day. And Kingston will feel like he does not have to eat lunch in the lunchroom. I'm going to my mama's office to eat lunch. But anyway, I know you'll deal with that when it comes. So with this new school in Atlanta, are you making history?
I think so. I definitely think so. And so PEACE is founded on 3 main principles. One, it's a rigorous academic program that's steeped in critical thinking. We have a problem-based learning curriculum where every month our children will focus on an essential question. They'll get to dissect that question and then develop their own answers to that question. And so we really want our students to develop into critical thinkers, which requires our educators to teach in a way that promotes critical thinking. And so it won't be a lot of just memorize this, just do this because I said do it, or this is the right way. We're helping our students build their own understanding of the world. The second component is an intentional focus on cultural immersion. Every day, our students will have a cultural studies course, 60 minutes every day, where our students will learn about their culture. The curriculum we are building right now is going to be an Afrocentric curriculum, and it will be inclusive of the other cultures within our school. But I have not particularly seen an elementary school where every day they get to learn about their cultures. They get to be steeped in an Afrocentric curriculum. And then the third part is our focus on community engagement. I mentioned earlier about how my thinking was a little skewed when I thought I had to leave. But what I really want our babies to understand is the beauty within their community. And so we have this community engagement component where our students will get to engage with a community organization every month through a field trip or through having the community leaders come into our school to tell our students about their program, where they went to school, the industry that they're in, the products that they are serving. We really want our students to begin to see the beauty and the assets within their community. And so that's the third pillar of our school. And then the last kind of foundation of our school is an intentional focus on restorative justice. We don't want our students to not be allowed to be children, right? We don't want them to think that they cannot make mistakes. We want to teach our students how to assess risk, how to think about the boundaries that people have and our space have, and how to, most importantly, rebound from choices that they may make. We are teaching our students and our staff how to collectively restore justice within our community in a way that does not expel students at the first sign of a problem. So I think that we are making history. We have all of the components in place, and I believe that Peace Academy will produce and partner with parents and families in a way that we haven't seen in a very long time. And I don't have any knowledge of seeing it in this community in this way. So I do think that we are making history.
That's awesome. For all of you who do not know, this is my niece, Ebony Payne. I am so proud of Ebony. Watching her grow up, she was always at my house. I would fix my plate and fix her plate, and she would sit next to me. I would take a bite, and then she would take a bite, so she would mimic me. So I would like to think that my beautiful niece has saw how I take pride in what I do and my work ethics, and that she followed in my footsteps just a little bit. And she spoke about Pop, who is my father, Reverend Dr. John L. Payne, the rock of our family, and his wife, Patricia A. Payne, the most gracious woman I know, who walks the face of this earth. Ebony, I am so proud of you. You keep up the good work. If I could come to Atlanta, I would. I would not be in a classroom. I did the education thing. I loved it. I did. But I think my passion is serving victims. So that restorative justice piece that you have, call me. Because we're doing some great things in the city of Philadelphia. There's a gentleman by the name of Kevin Bethel, who is the chief of school safety for the Philadelphia School District. And that's one of his goals. And that is what he works on. Because like you said, we all make mistakes. And when students make mistakes, it doesn't call for them to be suspended or expelled. And we have something called youth court here in Philadelphia, where they can speak to their peers, and their peers can actually have insight on what will happen next. So whenever you need help with that piece, please do not hesitate to give me a call.
I will. I will. And I think two quick nuggets that I'll share is one, I remember being in middle school. At that point, I was wearing hand-me-downs. And you gave me all of your old clothes. And so if you can imagine a 14-year-old or 13-year-old in 8th grade looking like I'm going to work every day, that is one of my fondest memories. But it definitely showed how much that you played a role in my life and my upbringing, and inspired me to become who I am. And you and both of my grandmothers, just your drive, dedication. And so I think one thing that I would to share, if there are children who are in the midst of it, not knowing how you are going to make it way, not even seeing that you can see anything different. I think the biggest thing, whether it's a teacher or an aunt or a grandmother, you have to see something that can give you the guidance to know that there's something different. And so attach yourself to any thriving mentor, woman, anyone who can help give you that vision is something that I would encourage the young girls of Philadelphia and everywhere. If you're in the midst of it, there's somebody who has made it out, and you need that guidance from the elders in your community to help you do the same.
Thank you so much, Ebony. That was well stated and very powerful. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. You have a great day.
Thank you so much for joining me today. Please get some young people in your family and in your neighborhood. Sit down and speak with them and see what their need is so that you can help them make better choices. You'd be surprised at one young person is looking at you and wants to be like you. So make sure you are making great decisions. Make sure you are making positive decisions. Always smile and always spread love and joy, peace and blessing.